Technique 44, precise praise. But first, a little science joke. A neutron walks into a bar, orders a drink, and enjoys it. Asks the bartender, how much? Bartender says, for you, no charge. Positive enforcement is one of the most powerful tools in every classroom. And most experts say it should happen 3 times as often as criticism and correction. However, any powerful tool can be used poorly or for naught. And giving honest and sincere appreciation can be a difficult skill to master. A compliment can sound manipulative. If you tell your wife, you really do an outstanding job cooking wonderful dinners, it can contain a hidden message of, and I think I can get out of helping clean up the kitchen and ever preparing a meal for myself if I lay the charm on thick. It can be overly enthusiastic. You're just a wonderful artist. Your stuff should hang in the Louvre. Right? And this may communicate that the speaker may want to push us in a direction we don't care to go. Some compliments even come across as hints to past mishaps. Someone saying, "You look pretty in that outfit," can give the fleeting thought of what might have been left unspoken, such as, "Not like the outfit you had on yesterday." We give a sincere compliment by describing instead of evaluating. Evaluating type of praise is when we put a value on something. That is so beautiful and you're doing a great job. It's much better than it was yesterday. Descriptive compliments describe what you see, what you feel, and then use a word that sums up the entire experience. Let's use the example of a child cleaning up his or her room. A descriptive compliment might go like this. "Susan, I see all your books are on the shelves. I see all your clothes are put away. I see your bed is nice and neat. Susan, it feels wonderful to walk into such a well-organized and neat room. You worked to get your room looking just so. Susan, that's what I call persistence." A descriptive compliment is more effective in communicating that we have taken a genuine interest in our children's efforts, smiled, used their names several times, and helped our children feel important by summing up the experience in one significant word. Anybody can say, "Good job." It takes a few minutes of thought and genuine interest to show sincere appreciation. Praise works only when it is done well, and there are a few rules to keep in mind when using positive reinforcement. The very best parents and teachers that I know make a careful and intentional distinction between praise and acknowledgment. Acknowledging when expectations have been met, and praising when the exceptional has been achieved. Ask yourself this question: what do you want to be considered great and praiseworthy in your classroom and in your home? Imagine this. A group of young boys go out onto the football field on a Sunday morning. They're throwing the ball around and having a few laughs when one of them runs across the goal line and yells, "Touchdown!" What do you think the reaction of the other boys will be? Yeah, maybe a few of them will give him a laugh, a clap, a nice hand, a hoorah. Now imagine this is done in a game, in the 4th quarter, with the score tied in front of the home crowd at homecoming against the bitterest rival your school has. Now imagine the reaction. Try to think about where, when, and what is really worthy of public praise. Kids who meet expectations deserve to have it noticed and acknowledged as frequently as possible. In a case where expectations have been met and acknowledgement is fitting, a simple description of what the student did, or even a thank you, usually suffices. "You were ready for class on time, John. You did it just the way I asked, Shayna. Thank you." Kids who do something truly exceptional also deserve to be told that what they did was above and beyond. That is, to be praised. And praising usually carries a judgment in addition to a mere description. Fantastic work, John. Billy, really done something amazing today. Be careful not to mix up these two responses by praising students for doing what is expected, because in the long run, this is not just ineffective, but destructive. Consider this statement. Great job bringing a pencil to class today, John. Why, in the eyes of the rest of the class, is John being praised for doing what they've been doing all along? Are the rules different for John because he hasn't been bringing his pencil? Has John really been great, as the teacher said? Now there are two possible answers to this last question, and neither is especially good. The first possible answer is that no, the teacher does not necessarily think it's a great thing that John brought his pencil to class. She's just trying to be enthusiastic, positive, and encouraging. But the more enthusiasm she packs in her voice in praising John, the more she shows that her words are disingenuous. Her praise shows that it's cheap and empty. Who wants to be great if that's all it takes? In fact, the culture-wide misuse of praise has a documented perverse effect. And recent research demonstrates that students have come to interpret frequent praise as a sign that they're doing poorly and need encouragement from their teacher. So think, when is the right time to praise publicly, and when is the right time to praise privately? Now the second answer is if she's not using praise as a form of encouragement, it means that she's genuinely surprised. And this has a potential for reading into her words, which can create a perverse effect. If the teacher is surprised that John merely brought a pencil to class, what is she saying about this student? Is she saying that her difficult students won't really be able to do what she expects of the rest of the class? A translation of what she's thinking is, in my heart, I expect you to not do what I ask much or most of the time. In my heart, I don't really think I can get all kids to do what they need to do. In the long run, a teacher who continually praises what's expected risks trivializing both the praise and the thing she really wishes to label great. Good news is good news, and it should be made as public as possible. However, whispered or non-verbal criticism or reminders assume the best about students and allow them to self-correct without being called out in public. A student who exceeds expectations demonstrates the art of the possible. That's something that all students should attend to. And when we make examples of students who meet expectations, it visualizes and normalizes this behavior and makes it more likely to happen in the future. When you choose not to demonize a student in front of the entire classroom, it's not only to the teacher's benefit, but to the entire classroom's. Even when the behavior is clearly defiant, it keeps the student off stage as much as possible and makes the teacher appear to be in control. One important characteristic of using precise praise is for praise to be as specific as possible and focus on exactly the behavior and the action that you would like to see more of. Not the individual characteristic of each student, because that is much harder to change. Your praise can change behavior. It's very hard for your praise to change ability. Throughout the course of the day, every one of your students does something worthy of recognition. For some, that is simply getting out of bed in the morning. As a teacher, I can tell you, that's no easy task. Students, like teachers, learn early on in school to listen and look for and then discount insincere praise. So don't generalize your praise. Be specific. Find something targeted that you can point out in each student that they will know for sure is 100% genuine and true. I'd like to give you a piece of advice that my grandfather gave me a long time ago when I first started to get interested in girls. He told me, never tell a pretty girl that she's pretty. Every guy that she's talked to that day, that week, that month, that year has told her the same thing. If you want this pretty girl to notice you and to like you, you've got to find something specific. You have to compliment her in a way that no one else has. So, you would tell me, Brian, don't tell her she's beautiful. Tell her that the way she wears her makeup makes her eyes look more beautiful. Tell her that those earrings match the dress perfectly. Notice her new haircut and notice how it falls on her shoulders. Try to find something that no one else will see that day. And I guarantee you, that girl, that student, that administrator, that principal will be all yours. Good luck. Sincere appreciation is powerful. Handle with care.